security guard, and then one. What?
Well, right, we use 2 daily, and we've added 1 more to our daily activities since this incident. They're with the same company.
And did you also mention you added another?
Yeah, I use a substitute safety monitor. That's just an additional. He's a sub that serves in our district. He will be assisting the 8 that we already have.
So, Mr. Cobb, I'm sorry, sir. So in this school, you always have 10 or 11, including yourself? Or?
Yeah, I'd be the 11th. Daily, we have 10.
And both of these additionals will kind of just be here for the rest of the week, maybe next week, or they?
I would say into the end of next week for sure. And potentially, I'll speak with, our administrators, and as far as pushing an additional member is something we could probably do permanently for the rest of the year.
So what can you tell us about the, initially you had said you thought this might have been connected to a robbery over the weekend?
Yes, I'll defer to Mr. Keith Edmonds. He's the assistant principal that was quite involved in addressing the incident, along with Mr. Dwight Foster. So you want to kind of lead into how
Yes.
we learned that this was connected to an event, potential crime, alleged crime that happened in the community over the past weekend.
Last Friday, the family of the young man who eventually did the stabbing was the one who had come into our secretarial staff and along with Mr. Foster, had expressed that over the night before their child had been robbed of his sneakers. Our conversation first off was, did you call the authorities to explain what had taken place? We haven't received documentation if that had been done. We also explained to the young man was asked, do you know who the perpetrators were? At that time, he could not identify anyone by name. He said he thinks he can identify them. They're in the building. Our question was, once you acknowledge who they are, and we say this every day, do not take matters into your own hands. Use your teachers, administrators, and staff, and let us take care of the matter for you. We said the same thing to the family. Please let us know. Once you let us know, we will then get the right parties involved to deal with the case in hand. Apparently, the young man identified the students on Monday by himself, and then came yesterday and decided he was going to try to address the issue on his own, which led us to the incident that took place yesterday.
And he was the student that brought the knife?
Yes.
So the student's child is the one whose sneakers were stolen?
Say it again.
The student's child was the one?
No,
Okay.
the student.
The student.
Okay.
And again, this was done after hours
In the
in the community.
It happened over the weekend.
Yes, it happened Thursday. It happened Thursday evening.
Last Thursday evening.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Edmonds or anyone, I guess it was reported last night on our air, big picture, I think is connected with the incident from yesterday, maybe not, but I guess it was reported that there's a lot of tension. I don't know if it's a group of kids, but between Latino students and African American students. Could either of you speak to that?
No, just as my position in the district, number one, I'm on every social media platform. I don't see any direct between Spanish and African American students. That seems to be an isolated incident that just so happened to be, difference of race. However, from what I've seen, there's no anything like that. I think that all of them, they speak with one another as if they're their own. So I don't see it when I have, again, as you all know, I have fake pages. I navigate social media. I don't see it. And with that said too, it just appears that it was that isolated incident.
Mr. Cobb, stay in that social media space. Some may say that maybe your team, fairly or unfairly, may not be up to the task. I'm assuming that you push back on that and you would disagree that your team is more than qualified to handle this, just the everyday, not necessarily challenges, but the everyday expectations of providing security that you do on a daily basis?
Well, I'll let you into, as far as what our procedures are. I navigate it every evening while in school. As I see things, I pass it on to administration. At that point, we're able to, and I let my staff know, if you see these kids the first thing in the morning, what you need to do is you need to pull them aside. And we do our due diligence as far as mediating the situation before it happens. However, I can't follow every single thing that happens on social media. Some things get passed. Even last week we had an incident in the community, 15-minute live Facebook feed of a fight between 3 different fights between girls.
In the community.
Right, yeah, in the community that happened after school. So, I passed that on. I sent it over, and we were able to grab those students, see if this was going to be ongoing. But, the thing that, I'm assisting my staff with, and, trying to get people to see the perspective is carrying issues, or, we try to deflect those and de-escalate those, but a lot of the stuff happens outside, and it's brought in.
Has there ever been any thought about having like Harrisburg police in the schools, or do you feel like what you have is working and enough?
At this time, I think what we're using has been effective. We work collaboratively with Harrisburg Police. We have a great working relationship. So at any point, have I needed them and vice versa. I've able to pass on getting information to them in probation. We share information all the time. Anytime we've called, they've been here. Even yesterday when the incident occurred, we had Harrisburg Police made that second arrest and stopped, instant before it even got to my staff. So, we've worked collaboratively, and that's what works for us right now.
I think we also need to make it clear that it was Mr. Cobb and his staff that were able to address the situation right here on campus when it happened. It wasn't as if the police were already here and called, and then they interrupted and helped with the situation. They were a tremendous help once the situation was addressed. Students were properly secured, but it was the staff here that originally had the interaction with the students to redirect that negative behavior first and foremost, and they had broken up that situation before the actual stabbing occurred. And then somehow one of the students came in around another hallway and began to engage the perpetrator on his own. After things had already been resolved, students were headed back to class. That particular student came back in and engaged the perpetrator, and unfortunately, that's when the situation occurred. But the staff was already on site and addressing things from a safety and security perspective.
And we've had
Yeah, the actual interaction between the two parties involved was actually 15 to 20 seconds. It was literally 2 punches. One punch by the one student.
We do everything we can on a daily basis to ensure that our students and our staff are safe. Issues arise in a building, in a school. Do we want them to? No. And when we find out that there's something going on in our building that needs our immediate attention, we make sure we handle it. Again, many of the issues are occurring in the neighborhood. We get text messages on the weekend, at night. We get pictures, videos of the community letting us know what's going on so that we can try to diffuse matters by the time it gets to the building. So we appreciate our parents and community members for sending us information so that we can try to diffuse it. But what I would like to make it known is that I would still like for our parents and our community members to try to police more of what children are doing on social media, where they are when they're at home. If they leave home, make sure you know where they are, who they're with, what's going on. And as I tell the teachers in the building, let's try to feel the pulse of what's going on with our students and find out what's going on so that we can all work together to try to create a safer school environment. Again, we have security here. We have our district level administrators who are supportive of what we're doing in our building. And do I feel safe as principal in our building? Yes, I do. I honestly feel safe. Do I know things happen? Yes, I do. Do we try to address it the best that we can? Yes, we do. Our teacher, Mr. Baker, he has a business. Our students work in his business. We have a trauma specialist on our staff. We have counselors on our staff. We have every kind of resource and support that our students need in this building to be safe. And I have to say, it's not good when the community, some members of the community or the media try to present our school as an unsafe place. It's not an unsafe place, and no one should feel unsafe in this building. If teachers know something's going on, I need for them to let us know what's going on as well so that we can try to address it so that it doesn't get out of hand. So we've all got to work together on this. The issues that are happening in the community didn't happen overnight, but we've got to find a way to communicate and connect so that we can find the root cause of why students are doing what they're doing in the community. Again, there are things that are going on here that need to be addressed beyond what's going on in this building. And if there's something that we can do to come together to make that happen, we want to do it. And we need to do it. Because my biggest concern is to ensure that our students receive a quality education in an environment that's conducive for learning. That is first and foremost what we want here. We don't run our school like a prison. It's not a jail. And I don't want our kids to have that mindset when they come into this building. We're trying to have students who are academic scholars, who can achieve post-high school. We're trying to increase our graduation rate, our attendance rate, keystone proficiency in our building, and we're trying to ensure that kids get a high school diploma. That's what we're here for. We are functioning as a school. And every day we tell our kids that we are the cornerstone of excellence in the community. That is what we need. So we need for the media to help us get that done by reporting on some quality events that we're doing in our building and in our district, and to help us bridge the gaps, mend whatever's going on in the neighborhood, and help us to build a school that is academically sound for our students. We're the flagstaff in our community, and we want to build on that. But again, we're doing all that we can to provide a safe environment for our students. That is of first and foremost importance to us. Without that, we can't function. So we have a wonderful facility. It's a beautiful facility. We honor and value it every day. And so again, as Mr. Baker said, we need to diffuse this matter. The student who was injured in the fight, we have checked on him. He is okay. When and if he returns, we're going to provide him the necessary counseling that he needs so that he can be helped through this, because it was a traumatic experience. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to make sure we meet his needs as well so that he can focus in school. Okay? So that's where we are.
Thank you so much, Ms.
Okay.
Webb. We have about 2 to 3 minutes before we need to wrap up because school's going to be dismissing. And so these administrators need to get back to that. And I just want to put a ditto and accentuate what Principal Love has said, and Mr. Baker, thank you, along with our security manager and our other administrators. This school and the staff here work hard every day to make sure that our students are safe and that they have a quality educational experience. So if we can address any more questions regarding the incident or anything else very quickly, we'll do that.
So the student who was injured, was that student charged in the theft of the sneakers?
No.
Or was anyone
No.
charged?
No, like I said, at this point, we haven't received any information that it was actually taken to the police. We just know that the family came and told us of the incident, which is what we try to assist the family in the right protocol for dealing with a situation like that.
Okay. But the student who brought the knife accused that student of being the one who took his sneakers.
At this time, the student who, we can only assume that piece because the student, we haven't had a conversation. At that point in time, our staff was actually doing the right thing to bring the students who were involved together so we can resolve it.
Let me address that one more time. Again, whatever happened between the students in the neighborhood, that is not our jurisdiction. That is a policing matter. The only way we can get involved is if the parents are letting us know that something may transpire in the building that we need to address. But when those issues happen outside, in the street, or in the neighborhood, that is a police matter.